you can use Gemini on Google Sheets. I have not found it capable of doing what we just did with ChatGPT. Like, it's not as capable in my mind, at least not yet.
This is the PMP Industry Insider Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome out to another episode of the PMP Industry Insider Podcast, where we take a look at what is changing in the pest and lawn industries, and we take you to the front lines, to those that are driving those changes. As always, I'm Donnie, Shelton, owner of Triangle Home Services, which has Triangle Pest as well as Triangle Lawn. And with me, as always, is my highly educated, I don't know, what can I just say, humorous, funny, witty, pretty, smart. I don't know. I mean, I could just give you all kinds of, yeah. All right. Dan, how about introducing yourself, our sponsors, our topic, and our very special guest?
So, all right. Let me get started. I am Dan Gordon from PCO Bookkeepers and M&A Specialists. We do accounting for the pest and lawn industry, as well as brokerage services for both as well. So our sponsors, Coalmarch by WorkWave, should you need marketing services, and they do that. It's coalmarch.com. And if you need insurance for the pest industry, it's pestsure.com for your auto, GL, workers' comp, EPLI, and others. And if you're interested in joining an industry peer group, we are running some with our favorite facilitator, David Billingsley. Listen to episode 136 or shoot us an email and we will get you on the list. And is there anything I forgot? No, we're good. So our very special guests today are Donnie and I.
So special.
We're going to talk about Donnie's favorite topic and one that is driving the whole entire world economy right now. And that is another episode on AI. However, you need to understand that AI is going to change the world. And Donnie, my partner in crime, is at the forefront of it, especially for our industry. So the topic is ChatGPT. What is that? 4o model update and unleashing its power for your business.
Yes. It's model 4o. And the O stands for like omni-channel, meaning that you can get into it and it can analyze multiple things with their model. So we're going to talk all things AI. And, there's been some interesting changes with ChatGPT, and I think we should spend some time talking about it. And just to make things kind of crazy here, we're actually going to do a demo. So if you're listening to this episode and you want to watch, which, again, some folks may look at this AI stuff and say, oh, it's kind of funny. But I'm going to show some things here of like how you can use this as a business owner to really get some good questions answered with some of the new capabilities with ChatGPT, which I think are fantastic. And so before we do that, I just want to kind of run through a brief update of kind of where we're at with ChatGPT. I know we've talked about it a lot on this podcast, but because the reason we do is because it is an amazing technology. I did a presentation back, and this is not I'm certainly not self-promoting here at all. And if you've listened to me speak outside of this podcast, I'm a bumbling, what. But I did at United We Stand.
Stayed at a Holiday Inn last night, right?
I have done a presentation to explain for business owners how actually how AI works. And so, so there's just been
by the way, just so that, Donnie's not just the run-of-the-mill pest control guy. Prior to getting into pest control, besides being an Air Force pilot and a multi-billionaire on Wall Street and everything, he went to school for computer programming. He went to NC State. And I think his wife went to UNC, which is the better school, right? But
it is.
But don't you have a 4-year degree in
I do have a degree. Somehow I convinced the powers to be. Yeah, somehow I convinced the powers to be at NC State University to give me a degree, a Bachelor of Science, which I'm sure they're fully regretting now. But so getting back into ChatGPT models. So there's been, again, ChatGPT came on the scene. It took the world by storm. There's a ton of money going around it. There for a while, every CEO could not say 3 words without putting AI in there somewhere. I think some of that has settled down now. But the fact is that AI is here. It's mainstream now, and I'm sure all of our listeners are using it. What I want to talk about today are some of the updates with this new model that has been released, the ChatGPT-4o, which is omni-channel. The other thing I want to do is I want to show you and show our listeners, okay, I'm a run-of-the-mill pest control owner. This chat GPT thing is cute and it can rewrite letters and it can do, I'm going to show you some stuff that can really help in your business. And what I'm going to do is I actually, before this episode, I downloaded every single service setup that we have in our company. And I'm going to show you how to upload it to ChatGPT and start asking it questions about your company. And it's pretty freaking amazing what it can do.
This is cool.
Yeah, I'm going to demo that at the end. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the latest algorithm and what it does and why it's important. So 4o is really nothing more than ChatGPT 4 Turbo, which means it's fast. It's way faster than ChatGPT 3.5. It's faster than 4. And the cool thing about 4o is that they opened it up. So you don't have to pay to get this new model. You can just jump on ChatGPT if you're not buying the service or whatever. You'll get this model automatically. What makes it nice is that you can interact with it with full modalities, which means that you can send it text, you can send it images, you can even send it audio, and it will analyze that for you. You can ask it questions, you can train it on it. It can also integrate with, like, it can generate images. Of course, it can generate audio, it can generate text, of course. And so this whole idea that it's added multi-capability, we've seen this with Dolly and a few other things that it's done. But ultimately, with the update, it's omni-channel capability. And by the way, I don't know if you saw this, Dan, but they're already working on a newer model. So I would expect we will probably see that by the fall. But you do get limitations on the free model, and I don't know what you'll have to look at.
Yeah, I have a question for you. So it's in your notes, it says here 4o has the knowledge cutoff at October 23.
Yeah.
Can you pay up to have it real time or no?
No, not yet. Not yet. At least not for the knowledge cutoff. At some point, they're going to make, there's only so far it can go with current events, and the model does not offer that yet. You can get it on some pieces of it, but not the full model. And so that is going to be one of the capabilities. But I think they are taking their time on that because, again, there's some real danger of allowing it to go real time, just with how it could spin and where it could. It could legitimately.
What about Gemini? Can Gemini go real time? Or
again, it's going to give you. It's all going to be very, very limited. It's not a completely open model with everything that's happening right now. Neither of those can do that, and I think because just AI in general, the power of it and and where it could go with real time, right. I think there just needs to be a little bit more controls, and I think folks are actually realizing that. So the nice thing about the algorithm and the update, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because I want to spend more of our time on showing a demo, which is it's a lot faster. So you could legitimately talk, you could have a real-time conversation. And we are seeing some of this with some of the integrations that are happening with Microsoft right now. And I hate to say this, but they're just not bringing it. Gemini is good, but it is not keeping up with, it seems like every time Gemini starts getting some traction, ChatGPT releases another update, and they're just so far ahead right now, which is kind of weird, right? Because in the day, Microsoft was everything, and then Google kind of dethroned them, and now it's kind of the table's turning again. Yeah, Microsoft. And by the way, OpenAI is not Microsoft, but they kind of are. They made a huge investment in them, and all the latest tools are actually being released on Microsoft. They're not being released. Google has their own AI, and I'm sure if you listen to this, you already know this. But at the end of the day, the really cool features I think that we're getting to use is coming off ChatGPT. It's not coming out of Gemini. I'm not dogging Gemini. I'm just saying that it's not as sophisticated, and it's not as easy to use, and it certainly doesn't generate as great a content as what ChatGPT does. But in any case, with this update, it's super fast, so you could talk to it like you can a human, and it's going to come back just as fast. The main things I want to focus on at the very end is that there's this whole data analysis thing that got released with ChatGPT-4. And if you've not used this, if you've not seen it, it's fantastic. And before I get into this demo, before I talk about this, there's a couple things I want people to understand. Number one is that this will not replace reporting. Okay, when I show you this, I'm going to generate a chart. I'm going to generate some answers to questions. We're going to analyze the data. It's going to be great. But I personally don't think using ChatGPT as your own reporting, I don't think that's smart to do because there's times that reporting can provide perspectives and it should be automated. It should be something that's consistent. This is more of like, and I know you never do this, Dan, but I certainly do it. You're sitting in your hot tub. Maybe this is TMI, just a visual that people don't want to see. And I'm
You
talking
bet
about
it
Dan right
is.
now. Yes, yes. So he's in his hot tub and you're sitting around and you're thinking about your business and you're like, I wonder how many sales last year were just mosquito that were under $70 or what. Like you start having these questions, right? That's when using a tool like ChatGPT and AI is amazing and fantastic and can answer questions like that for you. And so I'm going to do this, and I know doing this is just going to be. I am certainly going to. Anytime you do live demos, things are just going to break.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
should
I
see.
was always taught never do it live, make it PowerPoint. But
Yeah, I know, I know. So
it's not as fun.
so you should see this, Dan. If I did this properly, and if
Can you
you'll
make it
join us
bigger?
in,
So
yeah, and if you join us on YouTube, you should be able to see a window now that shows Chat
highly
GPT.
recommend that you watch this on YouTube because this is very visual. The
Okay,
podcast is good.
so let's start off with I have a spreadsheet here and I'm going to add it to ChatGPT. And you can kind of see it took the upload right there. And I called RA setups, which, if you're in the world of WorkWave, you know what that means. And I'm just going to say, can you please look at this data as I will be asking a lot of questions about it. So now all I'm doing, you don't have to do this. This is just I like to get ChatGPT spun up. And so right now what it's doing is it's taking what I just uploaded to it and it's analyzing. And you can kind of see that it's picked out from this spreadsheet. It's already uploaded it. It's looking at the structure of the data. Now it's coming back and telling me like, okay, I see the structure here. Here's your division. Here's your location code. Here's service class start date. So all I just uploaded right now is
So this is a
nothing more.
pest pack report. Which report is it? I mean, listen,
Yes, yes,
it's
yes. I
true.
try to be incognito, but okay,
Yeah,
yes,
no,
this is a pest
it's
pack report. These are
yeah.
service set. This is nothing more. Oops, this is nothing more than a service setup listing. That's all this is. So
By just so
yeah, so it's
like
done
why
by branch
location.
and then by
Okay.
service code, and then I got start date, cancel date. And so let's just say, all right, how many cancels um, did I get or have I had so far this year? Have I had so far this year? Okay, let's just say I'm just going to ask that question there. So now that this data set is loaded, what's going to happen is that ChatGPT is going to go through and say, yep, and that number 1600 is absolutely accurate. Which, by the way, in case you're wondering, yes, that number is high. No, I do not like it. We took a big write off, but it is what it is. But I mean, my point is like so far, so it's telling me, yeah, and then I'll say, okay, well, out of those service setups, who is my highest salesperson for the year 2024? Again, all this is doing is going back through that spreadsheet that I just uploaded. And we have this person that we call no one has a total sales, which basically means that we use it as it's like an upgrade. They sold 175,000. So let's pick out something else. And I promise I'm going to get there. But let's do DDE Long. So I have a person in my office. Her name is Dara DeLong. She is amazing. She's a pretty good salesperson. I'm going to say how much revenue has DDE Long sold in 2024? So you can kind of see here, I'm shotgunning these questions based on this data set. And you can see that so far she's generated $57,000. This is in one-time revenue. This is not annual value, of course. But my point here is that let's just say, can you chart my cancels, total cancels so far this year? So now what's going to happen is it's going to analyze this data. It's actually going to create a chart for me. Now, I will tell you, ChatGPT is not perfect at charting, but it's pretty good
So you have your cancel dates in the program. By the
in the
way,
spreadsheet.
when you close this, does everything go away or will it continue to have this spreadsheet?
It'll continue to have it. I've got a model now, and you can kind of see how it keeps your history here in ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you can see right there. I can just come back to that. Here I was using it for actually programming, but going back over to this data analysis, it just sits there. So there you go. It created a chart
Wild.
based on those cancellations. Of course, I can expand that out, and it creates an interactive chart, all real time. This is not just insane. This is crazy. This gives you cumulative cancels by the day. Now, again, you don't have to use this. You can download it. But my point here is that this does not replace reporting, but it's absolutely amazing. I mean, think about this as a business owner. You have all this data, right? You could do this with service orders. You can do it with service setups. You can do it with even your employees if you want, but basically feed it a spreadsheet. And then instead of you having to sit down and talk to a programmer, or instead of you sitting down and having to like learn all the Excel formulas and whatnot, you can just sit down and ask it questions. And that model is going to go through and analyze that data for you. So, by the way, I did not coordinate with Dan before this. But Dan, what would be some questions that you'd want to know about your service setups? And I know I'm going to take a risk in saying that because I know what's going to happen is it's going to be like, oh, it's probably going to fail, and that's fine. But my point is like, let's just say, let's do this one.
The first thing I look at this chart and all it does is it shows me by day. So of course it's just going to go up, 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 right?
But you could
what I'd like to do
yeah.
is chart month 1 against month 2 against month 3 if you have the cancels
by month. How's that? Is that what I'm saying? Can you show me?
Yep. Can you chart it or maybe
yeah?
not?
Can you show me a chart of cancels by month? And so here, let's see what happens.
And all you've done was export a report from PestPack, and I know, and then in Excel form, and just upload it
and just upload it. And I mean, you saw how long that took me. It legitimately took me 30 seconds. And this is by month. By the way, we took a big write-off in April. We had some accounts out there, but you can kind of see.
That is so neat.
Is that, I mean, how much effort did that take?
So you have cancels.
Yeah.
It will also show you in that report is all service setups that on your routes. So can you say what's your cancel percentage?
Well, that's a loaded question. So cancel percentage by month.
How do you define it? Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You'd have to route out how you're going to define it. Let's do it the opposite. Like, what was my highest selling service in 2022? Let's do that. Okay. Again, the point I'm making here is, and especially for business owners, is we're talking about this, is that at the end of the day, yeah, you can see there. It's just, I mean, when you want to just kind of get these quick shotgun questions and you don't want to spend, literally 2 or 3 days creating the formulas, downloading the sheets and struggling with the technology, you don't have to do that anymore. Like legitimately get a subscription to ChatGPT, download a data sheet from your software, whether it's PestPack or whatever software you're using. And at that point, start interacting with it. And it's interesting because the model gets a, go ahead.
Yeah, let's sell us selling service in 22, healthy home, total revenue 293,000.
Remember, these are
right for
no. This is not annual value. It's not annual value. Remember the structure of the data here. So if you look at the structure of the data, it shows subtotal of that, like of that service. Like, however, it does not. I didn't put in how many months that I hit that. So for example,
so your healthy home is 3 times a year, right?
Correct.
So exactly. If you take that number and multiply it
by 3,
that's so what you're at.
By the way, before you get into this, Dan, if I added another column called annual value, which you can download from PestPack, all I would do is ask it questions. This has more of a structure of it's not an error with ChatGPT. It's actually a function of the structure of the data that I'm feeding it. Yeah. And so, this is a sheet that I use. This is a specific one that I look. So for example, let's just say, how many service setups have I sold in Charlotte? So and I'm not spelling Charlotte correctly. Um, so, the point is that you think about the structure of your data and how you want to look at it. And then from that, you can start asking it questions. And so the whole point of this demo is to show this. You're no longer tied to Excel. Really, all you need to do is grab your data and then you can train ChatGPT. Like to me, this tool is freaking amazing. Like when you
So
think
can you
about
say, so let's say you like one of those reports that we just ran. Can you set it up and say, email me this every Monday morning?
no, because I mean,
Or
you remember
because you got to upload
you
the,
got to
yeah,
upload it. Yeah.
yeah,
Again,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
why I said this is not. It should not be set up as something where it's not my standard reporting. This is more for
No,
kind of
but what
like
if you drop it in every Monday morning? Like
you
you
could
you
totally do
have
that.
a, yeah.
You could totally do that. I mean, there's no problem at all. I personally think this is a great tool for answering questions, right? So I have a ton of data and there's some insights that I need to get. And the other part is that, there's this whole idea of bringing multiple spreadsheets in and then asking questions where it has to kind of aggregate some of the data. Now, I've not gotten that far in it. That's my next thing that I want to work on. But point is that you can download service setups, you can download service orders, you can download your cancels, I mean, whatever, and then kind of start these shotgunning questions. Because again, as a business owner, reporting is important, but the real question you're asking is what if, right? What about this and what about
Mhm.
that? And really kind of digging into the data and what does that mean? And so I personally think this new update, along with this new capability, is pretty freaking amazing. And I think, you know, one of the things that I think is really important is that you train your team on how to do this. Because, like, for example, a really good report to put in this is your lead report.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you can like, where are my leads coming from and who's closing the most percentages? And like you can ask it questions and then have it do the work for you without you having to know Excel, without you having to know formulas and those types of things. And so there you have it. What other questions would you have about this structured data before we finish out this live demo and we get back to the algorithm itself? Anything else you can think of?
Um, I mean, you could do one of the reports that's in PestPack is called the business valuation, but you could
Correct.
verify it off of that.
You most certainly
Um,
could. You most certainly could. Um, Let me
you could
just,
aggregate that. You could put that in PestPack is somewhat limited in terms of the fields and how the way that you organize it, unless you use report writer. This would be your report writer, but instead of programming a report, you just ask it questions, which is pretty cool.
yep, yep. And so what I just did now is I just ask it to give me sales by service class totals, and you can kind of see that's exactly what it just did. I mean, again,
Mhm.
it's pretty cool once you get it in and you start looking at it. Show
And
sales
you can
trends
even
and
download that. I see it right
yep,
into Excel.
yep,
That's cool. Oh,
yep. You
wow.
most certainly can. So again, point I'm making here is that, and we're talking through the new algorithm update. The main thing I wanted to show is that I know that there's times that we get on the podcast and we talk about AI and hey, it's cool and blah blah blah. But the fact of the matter is that if you know how to use it and
Mhm.
you really, I mean, for me, like if you take the time to learn it, this is not difficult. This is downloading a spreadsheet. And this is once you download a spreadsheet, uploading it, and then start just asking questions. I mean, to me, it's like, I think, I mean, I'm super excited about it actually. So,
So I'm looking at the outline of our uh, episode today, and
yeah,
one of the things that see is real time translation from one language to another. So we did a deal. We sold a company that was in Spain and Portugal to a private equity firm in Switzerland. Guess what language all the legal documents were written in?
oh,
Guess
yeah.
what I had to pay for? I had to pay for translations to
Hmm.
because this legal document and whatnot. And I paid pretty handsome
I think in your case, I
amount.
would have paid for it anyway. Because while while AI is really cool, when there's
Right?
that kind of money on the line, I'd be like, probably want to get
Okay.
someone to look at it just to make sure. But what you could do is have
Yeah.
ChatGPT do it, and then say, hey, look, I need you to verify that this is legit and there's no problems with it and
Yeah.
that it does make sense. So there you have it. If you're interested in looking at ChatGPT, if you're interested in learning more about it. I would just say, look, I just did a demo. You can watch the video on YouTube if you're not watching already. There's obviously way more stuff that you can do with it. But again, on the podcast, we want to just show you this is how you can actually use it for your business. And this is just one little piece. Okay. It's a newer thing that when ChatGPT-4 came out, by the way, you can use Gemini on Google Sheets. I have not found it capable of doing what we just did with ChatGPT. Like it's not as capable in my mind, at least not yet.
So what we were looking at, was that the free version or is that
No,
a
I
paid?
pay for it. No,
Okay.
I pay.
So
But again, you would
here,
get the same thing though, because the only thing the paid version does is it just gives you more queries, basically.
okay. So here's the interesting thing, right? So you just took information out of your CRM, right?
Mm.
We have Google Analytics that you get from your marketing agency. We have accounting and operational reports that you get from PCO Bookkeepers. You get as long as you get that information in a database like an Excel or CSV or something, you can manipulate the data any way you want.
That's correct.
That's really good. And you could, as you said, put it together. So I could take my accounting reports and I could take my Google Analytics reports and I could do some analysis on my advertising expense, but also my cost per acquisition. Where you couldn't do that from a P&L.
Remember, and again, I think sometimes I mix up what I say where, because I babble my mouth all the time. But at some place, I know for certain I did it in that little presentation I did where I explained how AI works. But remember, a human brain can control about 5 patterns at most. With machine learning, you can track thousands of patterns. Like machine learning can track, I mean, literally. And so think about what that means in terms of your marketing data, your sales data, and your operational data. I mean, at some point, once we're able to get the full power of AI into our CRMs, which I already know that most of the CRMs are working on this already, because what I'm showing you right now is kind of like, yeah, it's cool. And it takes a little effort, and it can be changing for a business. But once you actually stick this on top of your CRM and it's integrated as part of your software, it's going to be pretty freaking cool, like legitimately.
Do you subscribe to Adobe? Do you have their? Because there's an AI tool built into it, which is pretty cool. So if you pull up a 100-page document, you can ask its AI tool different questions about it. It's pretty neat.
And by the way, I'm not, I don't know when this episode's going to air, but I am speaking for Florida. They somehow put me on some mastermind series, which I think is probably an oxymoron in my case, but I'm going to be talking about AI, and I'm going to talk through kind of what we just talked about here, which is leveraging AI in your business now, because I feel like,
by the way, I saw an advertisement for you going on that Florida, and it said industry icon. And then
did you start laughing?
Well, I was looking for the industry icon, and then I saw your name. So
oh yeah. He's like, wait, where's the icon at? So no, but no, I'm going to run into, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this is how AI actually works, and then I'm going to show in real time application of like this is how you can start using it in your business now. And again, I imagine in a year from now, a lot of stuff that we're showing now is going to be outdated. I mean, it's just moving so rapidly and so fast, but it is exciting. And look, when you think about the power that this gives you to just get insights in your business, to get quick answers, then imagine how much faster you can go and how many better decisions that you can make without just kind of going with your gut feel. Not that there's a time and a place for gut feel, but I like gut feels that are backed up with data personally. So
yeah, gut feel and then verify.
Right? Exactly. So
that's good stuff.
All righty. Well, Dan, did I meet your AI expectations, at least for this episode? Do you feel like
you have exceeded my AI expectations, and I'm sure this is not the last AI episode that we do.
No, so it definitely will not be. I mean, I think as long as this this technology is going so fast, and I just every time they release a new one, it's just amazing to me what they were able to accomplish. So. With that, just a reminder, all the resources and topics that we talked about today are available on the podcast website. I would highly recommend, if you're listening to this episode, go on YouTube and take a look. It's not very difficult. If you're able to follow listening, then great. It's not hard to pull this off, but I would highly recommend, download
watch the YouTube video, because what he showed on the screen is pretty freaking cool.
But I would download some data and start playing with it. It's like most things, the best way to learn is, to get on a bike and start riding. And so I would highly recommend you do that. And with that, we're going to sign off. As always, we appreciate any positive vibes, any positive reviews that you have, and all complaints and just general I don't want to say bitchy, but general complaining at all, we ask that you give that to Dan. And with that, we'll sign off. We'll see you all next time. Take care.
Sounds good. See ya.
Bye now.